Well, welcome to the Goop podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I realized in researching this podcast, like I have such a strong draw to women like you who are doing things kind of on your own terms so much. I'd love to start with some questions about the music because
Sure.
your music is so unique and filled with so many contradictions and sort of iconoclastic in this really brave way.
Thank you.
When you set out to make music, do you hold a particular idea of this kind of feminine form that you want to embody and represent? Or is it sort of starting more with the songs? Like if we go all the way back.
You know, it's interesting. I think my process as a writer has changed, as I've grown. And I think my writing process is quite selfish. I'm never really thinking about the sort of physical outcome of it or the way that people will respond to it. It's very much like in the moment, I'm kind of just like pulling from whatever comes to me. I don't know, it's kind of like, I find songwriting is quite like a magical experience because it's sort of like, how do you even get an idea? It comes and then you channel it and you kind of go with it. And sometimes it ends up being good and sometimes it ends up being, awful. I think it's all just instinct when I write. And then...
But it comes in the form of, like, are you at a keyboard? Are you hearing...
Oh, it's like I hear melodies in my
your
mind, yeah. And then for me, especially recently, it's really begun with lyrics. Like it begins with like a quite intimate story that I would like to tell, like whether that's like the feeling I had at a party one time, and then I kind of like explore that feeling and, why maybe I have that feeling. Oh, it's because of, the way I grew up or, my insecurities, and I kind of go deep into that world. So it's lyrically kind of lyrical jump off point for me.
So like the nostalgia of the situation is sort of bringing forward feeling.
Sometimes it's quite therapeutic, I think. Sometimes, you really dig into a moment and, realize it's because of all of these things that have happened in your past. Other times, a song or a lyrical kind of starting point for me will be very blunt, very like, this happened at a party, and then I just write about it. And it's not like that deep, you know what I mean? But it's like, I like the contrast of like high and low. That's something that's always really appealed to me in all of my work and the work that I admire from others, the kind of Warholian, like high and low art type thing.
Yeah, because I would say there's a volatile aspect to your songs in that the sentiments behind them are very female. And then the production is quite hard, which I love.
And I'm a 365 party girl. I love it.
It's so great. And also what's so interesting is, the song that leads right into 365.
Oh, is it? I think about it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Which to me is this incredible encapsulation of womanhood, or who I imagine who you are as a woman.
Yeah. That song is it's quite interesting. It's like I played that to a few close friends before, and some of them like really, really responded to it in a really intense way, because I think, it's like there is, I think, still a bit of a stigma perhaps around women who like don't really want to have children,
right?
And I think for me it's like I'm always swinging between the two. Right now I'm on the side of like, actually I'm not sure that is for me, but that could go back,
and the interesting thing, just
no, please.
Not that I'm giving you advice, but just being a mother.
Yeah.
I think we have this idea that we do have to swing back and forth between like, I am, as a career person, I'm here to do this and this is my purpose. And I don't know if that aligns with children, but you can do both things.
Totally.
And that's why I sort of loved those two songs back to back, because I was like, this is so punk rock, the contemplation of having a baby and then like talking about blowing lines in a club. Like that's perfection. That's like a whole picture of, whatever you know, and there are no rules around what kind of woman, what you have to give up.
Yeah, totally. And I think, you know, the whole kind of like point of the record that as a whole is like life is messy, you know, and I think especially as women like in the public eye, there is this pressure to present in this certain way. And obviously like we do present in a certain way sometimes. It's kind of just like what happens. It's easier for people to write a like, you know, Gwyneth is that like box in, put it out there, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, and I think for all of us, it's like, as you said, life is volatile. There's this highs and these lows and all of these crazy things in between and all of these conflicting thoughts that are kind of constantly coming up. And yeah, I think the placement of those two songs, as you said, on the record is like very much speaking to that.
Yeah. I fuck with it all the time. Like, I know how people want me. I know the box they want me in.
Yeah.
I know what they're comfortable with. And to me, it's like one of the most sexist,
of course,
right? To be reduced to like a comfortable,
a slogan
version of femininity. So I really like to mess with it. I think you like to mess with it.
I do. Yeah. Of course. It's part of the fun, I think, of you know what we do, and I think there's kind of like a meta-ness to that I really enjoy, kind of like playing with what people think I should be. It's interesting to me the pieces of like a public figure's personality that people like pick up and run with. And then that becomes, oh, like this is who you are. I just find it interesting. I don't even think it's necessarily a bad thing. I find it quite fascinating that that's like the world that we live in now.
That the inclination is to put you in like an easy.
Yeah, and just it's just interesting to me, like the facets of like people's personalities that people pick up and run with, and then make like this is who you are. I just find it interesting. It's I don't even know if it's like. If I see it as a negative thing, I'm just like, oh, it's interesting that is the world that we live in now. This need for something to be very, very quickly digestible.
And I think you sort of, I mean, to me anyway, obviously I don't know you, but you sort of buck your nose at that. Like your music is not digestible, you know? It's so great.
Yeah, thanks.
But it's not like, oh, this is easy listening.
Sure.
And I think the more you break it down, the more you sort of go like line by line, the more that I think it gets into your soul, and there's like a real pulse of freedom within it, which is why I think so many young people respond so passionately to you, because there's this incredible authenticism around all these different parts.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was making it, I was really just I wasn't thinking about the response at all. I made this record being like, okay, I'm just going to do this one for me, and maybe I'm going to get dropped by my label, and that's fine. You know, that was kind of the headspace that I was in.
That happened to Billy Joel on his third. Yeah, he was going to get dropped. He had done like kind of these other two albums, and then he was like, okay, I'm just going to do this for me. And then I think it was like The Stranger or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think it's like there's a lot of, you know, luck with timing and like the way that culture is moving. I think when I released this record, it's like people were wanting something that felt like very real and messy. And I think that's just like the way that culture was swinging, you know, it's like, sometimes I feel like the pendulum swings in this way where, you know, people don't really want that. And I'm really interested to see like what comes next in sort of pop culture, especially in the music space, like what people are craving.
Do you ever think about, you know, doing something super stripped back and with not all the production?
And I'm a really big Lou Reed fan. That's kind of my guy. And I've definitely thought about that. I really like to work in contrast. So I think, you know, whatever I do next will just inherently be different to Brat, because that's what feels natural. I'm exploring a lot of stuff with strings at the moment, which I'm really enjoying, and I haven't really worked in that space before.
That's so cool. Picking up what you were saying around your influences, and you love Lou Reed.
Yeah.
I love Lou Reed too. It's amazing. I was an expat living in London for a long time. So like when it was like Chase and Status and those kind of like, like commercially.
I did not think that Chase and Status was going to come up in this conversation. Love that.
When I was listening to, I think about it all the time, there's like the streets quality to the lyrics, like to the...
Yes.
Is that...
You're the first person who has brought that up.
Am I really?
You're the first fucking person.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm so surprised.
I know, because to me it's so
Wow.
obvious. It's like such a reference. I mean, I really, really love Mike Skinner. I think I actually kind of think there's like a kind of similarity between him and Lou Reed.
Yeah.
Their lyricism. But yeah, it's funny. It's like when that song came out, everybody was like, what? Like, why is it sounds so unfinished. Like, what? None of this makes sense. Like, why is she talking? Like, And yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of us in a way paying homage to the streets who are just, I mean, he just gets it. And I think he is such a profound storyteller. And he can really like go into the corners of stories that maybe have been like quite frequently told, but he has this really specific angle on the way that he talks about a breakup or a night out at a club or whatever it may be. He can really kind of get into the scene in a really kind of specific way that I've always really admired. So that was we were kind of like trying to go there for that song. You really are the first person who's mentioned that to me.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like I was like, this seems like a clear sort of reference. And I think what I love about that talking in the strange cadence is it's become so intimate. It's like you really pull.
Yeah,
the
it's conversational, and I think that was kind of a big like stylistic choice for the whole record.
And what else do you listen to, like specifically for this record, like Fatboy Slim or?
And I don't really listen to music when I'm making.
You don't? Okay, that's pretty common.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I find it distracting, and I listen to the music of like my collaborators, like the producers that I'm working with.
Right.
I'll listen to their kind of their like dance records, like club records and things like that. But I don't really listen to stuff. And if I do, I'm listening to Lou Reed, I'm listening to like Arthur Russell, I'm listening to like the Vernon Spring, like very like totally not related to what I'm doing,
Yeah, my ex was like that too. Whenever he recorded, and he would have it really, it would be hard even to have music on in the kitchen,
right?
Because
totally, because it's like you kind of get
pulled into
a different space. I get it. I totally get that.
Interesting. You talk about your husband a lot on the record. This is George this and George that, and Dance with George, which I love.
Very sweet.
Very sweet. And you just got married, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun. We were in Sicily with like a bunch of friends, and it was just a party. It was a good time.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I know about George because we have become big 1975 people in our house.
Okay,
My
cool.
son is like
Yes.
constantly wearing 1975 merch.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me about George and what an incredible producer he is,
Yeah.
as well as being a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you meet and how did you start collaborating?
We knew each other like vaguely through Matty. So we knew each other kind of a little bit through him. And then we went on like an Australian festival tour, and I was playing, they were playing, a few other friends were playing. And that's when like George and I began to kind of like be like, oh, like there's a spark.
Oh, fun.
And then from there we were working on like one song, and it just sort of like blossomed, It was very, very like sweet, very innocent, and I don't know. And it's cool like working with him. I've never been in a relationship with anyone that I've like made music with.
Wow.
And so at first I think we were both very nervous to collaborate together, because I feel like you become a slightly different person when you're in the studio or when you're at work. It's like you have your, I do it this way, I like da, 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 da. You have like your language and how you talk to collaborators. And especially with me, my collaborators, I've worked with them for so long. It's such a shorthand that we have, and it's very like snappy and quick. And so with George, when we first started working together, we were both being so like polite.
You're like,
and
I want him to still like me.
Yeah. But now that we're in it, we're like, I'll be like, again, booze, let's go, like da da da, you know. And he's like, so it's very sweet. It's very sweet. But yeah, he's the best, and he really is. He really is an awesome producer, actually. And I think he just worked on this Doja Cat track called "Gorgeous" with her and like a few other producers, and it's really cool. Like he has great ears, like really good.
That's so cool.
Good taste. Yeah.
Was he sort of a critical part of defining the sound on Brat?
I wouldn't say like defining the sound.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me, and definitely like A.G. Cook, who is a collaborator across like the whole record. But I would say the two of us kind of like spearhead it. But George is really good. You know, he's just like someone who I will always bounce ideas off, and I'm very lucky to have that. You know, so yeah, I really value his opinion.
Yeah. And, you know, you talk about, like, the messiness of the record. I've heard you say, like, it's a messy record.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like, just sort of chords that don't resolve like they're supposed to, or lyrics, or...
Kind of all of it, you know? And I think that's the thing. It's like the lyrical content reflects the chaos of the production and of my personality. It all becomes this one sort of, like, revolving door of... mess, basically. I think I'm kind of like a volatile person. I'm like all of those things. I'm all over the place. I'm like dropping stuff all the time. I'm, you know, it's like, and I think that is what I mean by mess. There's a chaos to the record. Yeah.
I think that's like a constant tension in being a woman in society. Is like, there is this incredibly messy aspect to us. We're emotional. We're creative or collaborative, and like mess comes with that, but we're supposed to be also
and I gotta say, like, I love that, like, I feel that my inspiration comes from all of the different corners of my personality, and if I sort of were to dull them down, I think I would feel a little bit suffocated. Like, I think I need to really feel everything, like times 100, whether that's like a great feeling or a terrible feeling. I don't know, it all funnels back into my sort of creative core. I don't know if you feel that way, but for me it's like it's so important.
I absolutely. I mean, I think my work sort of has more constraints around it, which is why I'm always so interested in musicians and how it works. And you know, when I used to do lots of acting, I had to wait for someone to give me a job, you know. So now I see my kids like pick up a guitar or an OP1 and they can just make stuff. I think there's a great agency in that that I am jealous of in a way, you know. And I also think that music allows for much more eccentricity, much more like paradigm breaking rules around who you're allowed to be as a woman. Like, I think as an actress, they still want you kind of, you know.
Can I ask you about acting?
Yeah.
So I just saw Marty Supreme.
Oh, you did?
I did.
How did you get to see that?
They did a little screening for me the other day, and it is fucking fabulous. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
It's like no notes. I went with a few friends. We were really blown away.
That's
and you're really excellent in it, and you're funny. You are really funny.
Thank you.
Talking about restraint and stuff like that. Did you feel that you felt like restraint when you were working on that project? Because it feels like a very, I don't know, you're kind of like kind of like letting it out, like you're doing it, you know. I think how was the process of working on that film?
It was great, and I did not feel restraint in that role. I felt like I could be brave, and I think that also that comes with being with a director who's very sure of themselves and what they're doing. And so I felt like I could kind of leave it all on the table. My character's so complicated, she's got a lot going on, and I felt safe to do that. I think just like when you're doing an actual part, I think there's a lot of freedom. But I think in society and culture, if you're an actress, there's, you're sort of not allowed to be all of the things that you're allowed to be, right?
Right.
Which is why also I'm so curious, like, so what is interesting to you about acting? You have all these projects coming out, like 8 things you're doing?
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, and maybe you felt this because obviously, you're sort of a multifaceted person doing lots of different things. It's like I've been making music since I was 14.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love making music, but I think there was just a point where I was kind of like, okay, I really need to exercise my creativity in a different way. And I found that, as I was saying, I don't actually really listen to that much music ever. I never really have. But where I've always...
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I just haven't. There are definitely things that I always come back to. But in general, I'm not somebody who's like always listening to stuff. But what I am doing is I'm always watching films. And that's kind of been the case for a really long time. And that's always been quite a source of inspiration to me, because I think one of the things that I love the most about music is world building. And I feel like, when you're watching a film, obviously you immediately fall into a world.
Yeah.
And I kind of was just like, okay, if I'm so into watching films, what if I tried to be in one, And it kind of came from there. And what's fun is like, I'm 33. Am I 33 or am I 34? I can't remember what I am.
According to my research, you're 33.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm 33. And when I first sort of went on a set, I was terrified. And it was so cool.
How old were you when you went on the set?
I was probably like 30.
So what was your first thing?
First thing I did was this movie called Faces of Death, which has not come out.
Okay.
And it was like a tiny, tiny role. A friend was just like, the director was like, became a friend and was like, just come and do it. It's like one day, and
Get your feet wet.
Yeah. And it was like, I was so fucking scared.
It's
I was
scary.
Like, yeah. I was like, because you don't know the language of, anything, like the marks and like the eye line. It's like this whole world that I never...
There's a whole technical part.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like a 24-hour, like, big learning curve thing. I had no idea if I was good or bad or whatever. I don't know. But all I know is that I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And so it kind of came from that one moment. And then I kind of realized, okay, actually, I really enjoy, as well as, being on set, I really enjoy writing and being a part of like building the whole thing. And so I think that is kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I really want to tell stories, and I really want to, anything that I work on, I would really love to kind of grow it from the ground up.
Yeah.
With, the team around it, the writers and the other producers and whoever. Like I find that very inspiring.
Thanks to you, I just started watching Overcompensating, which is so good. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So this is a TV show on Prime.
Yes. Yeah.
That you are producing. And how did that come about?
So that show was created by Benito Skinner, who plays the lead in the show, and he was the writer of the show. And we actually met so coincidentally, randomly at a party. Like,
where was this party?
It was at Cara Delevingne's house.
Okay, yeah. I know what kind of party that is.
Yeah. So we met there. And he and his boyfriend sort of came over to me and were kind of like, hey, like, we are fans. We love your music. I've got this show that I'm doing. Would you ever consider doing the music for the show?
Oh, wow.
And we just kind of hit it off. And I was just like, yeah, just like text me. That was kind of how it began. And then we now have, you know, a friendship that's sort of spanned like 5 years. I love both of them dearly. And throughout that 5 years, Ben was, developing the show, writing the show, selling the show, doing the rewrites, you know. TV is like, I'm like, whoa, like that is hardcore.
Yeah,
you know, it's
gnarly.
hardcore. And yes, I was kind of like making the music on the side, and it was a really, really cool process. And I think that show is really special, and really honest.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's
so
funny and
it
good.
is.
Yeah,
It's
really
the
good.
whole cast are really brilliant.
So you also have this film coming out. Is it soon? The A24 one?
The A24 movie is called The Moment, and that's going to come next year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be early next year. We're in like the final like tweaks
Finals.
of the edit. And it's cool because...
And you're producing that as well.
Yeah. So that was sort of based on an idea that I started, and it's
About your tour?
I suppose it's sort of like a revisionist history of Brat. We like to call it a 2024 period piece. And it's kind of like, I suppose it's sort of about like the death of cool. When something cool becomes commercial and then you sort of lose control over actually what it is.
Right. And how it's brought into the culture.
Exactly. So I play myself, and it's like, I wouldn't quite call it a mockumentary, but it's something in the world.
Okay.
And yeah, it's I suppose it's sort of like a music industry satire in a way.
Did you have fun doing it?
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
Was it great?
It's
Is it
so
like
much
Spinal
fun.
Tap?
It's not quite there. There's like yes and no. I think there's also some really sort of like emotional and like sad moments within it, and I think it's really just it's sort of about losing control over something that you've worked so hard to attain.
I want to ask you about that because, you know, I think it's so interesting when, like, you were saying that you did the album, you really did it for yourself, and then it becomes this, you know, hyper successful, super commercial thing, which of course I imagine has its upsides.
Yeah.
But the Brat thing just permeated the entire culture. Was that this summer or last summer?
It was 2024.
Okay, so for me, I was like when Kamala Harris changed her Twitter thing to the Brat thing. I was like, okay, wow, this is, and I wondered how do you sort of respond to that as an artist?
Well, it's interesting because I am really, really interested in marketing.
Right.
Like I'm really interested in product and how people communicate product. Like I find it fascinating, and also how, you know, like sort of art combines with capitalism, like because it just does.
God,
you know,
true, yeah.
I find all of the combinations of those things really interesting. So it's funny because as a voyeur, I'm quite fascinated by that. But also when it is actually your own work that's really, really personal, it does feel quite scary to see sort of like, you know, like Pret a Manger do their like Brat version of their, you know, it's like it's
Sandwich?
I don't even know. It was like they had a lot of like Pret Brat style posters and you know, it's no bad thing, it's just interesting. I'm like, oh, okay, like this has become this kind of like easily adaptable this thing that can kind of be applied to like multiple different brands and
because what is at the nucleus of Brat? What is the word that would describe what that sentiment meant?
It's sort of like volatility, you know, and mess and insecurity and confidence. I think that's the sort of trigger of it. You know, it's like, I think when people are brats, it's coming from sometimes a place of defense and insecurity. That's the performance of it. And maybe it appears confident, but that confidence is there to sort of hide something else, you know. Sometimes it really truly is just confidence, but I think that's sort of the essence of it, you know.
Speaking of the marketing thing you touched on, so I read that you read everything about yourself, which is so brave and meta and like...
I don't anymore, to be honest. Yeah. I used to, and then I kind of like tapped out of that. But yeah, once upon a time it was brave. Now I'm like, get it away.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't. I haven't done it since I'm like 22 years old.
Right, okay.
Like, I can't. It's just, yeah. And maybe I'm interpreting something here, but I love this idea that you were sort of able to chew on all aspects of your public perception and not be like impugned or hurt by it, but sort of use it to understand who you were and then make adaptations from that point.
Well, it's like what I was saying earlier. It's like I find the whole thing so meta and interesting.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And I think it's like, it's very interesting to see what people feel is real versus what people feel is a performance. It's really interesting how context can be removed and reapplied. I just find the whole thing fascinating. And I think, you know, social media obviously brings in this element of every single person having a voice, and a lot of people having really loud voices, which sometimes is great and fun. Sometimes it's really scary and horrible. But I find the sort of the kind of like riot of it all quite fascinating, because I also always think in like 25 years, will people care or remember? Like, probably not. Everybody will be sort of doing something else.
What will remain then?
I have no idea. I think good art will remain always. I do believe that. I think good art, no matter what scale it's on, there's always, I think, a certain level of documentation of good art. And, you know, people who have had influence, no matter how like big or small they are, I think... generally speaking,
or what the noise around them was.
I think good art remains.
I had that thought the other week. I went to see Oasis with my son, and we went to Chicago, and it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I thought back to all of the, you know, and this is like when they were at their biggest. It was obviously way pre-internet, pre-social media, and the amount of noise that existed around sort of the cult of personalities and the stories and whatnot. And yes, of course, it like adds to the lore. But man, like it was so good. That art, like it stays irrespective of, you know, who's in a row with who or what happened or who said what. Yeah. And maybe it just got me thinking, like, maybe because we live in this world where this deluge of social media is so nonstop, but maybe you're right. Like, at the end of the day, the bullshit all sinks down and the art pops up, and that's what remains.
I think so. I mean, maybe that's an idealistic approach. I'm not sure, but I would like to think so. I do think like the lore of stuff helps though, you know, because I think that sort of also generates like a conversation around the work. You know, when you think about the swagger of Oasis, like the kind of way that they were communicating with the press, with each other, with other artists, I think that all does feed back into the music and like what they represent, and also what their fans sort of feel that they also represent, like the mirror that it holds.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it helps, but yeah, hopefully a good song is enough. But maybe that's too sort of like sweet of me, and I need to get a grip. I'm not sure.
You said somewhere that fact checking is dead.
Yeah. Don't you think?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. How long ago did you say this, and what was it in reference to?
I said that I think quite recently in a Vanity Fair interview that I did, but I've believed that for a really long time. We live in a world where if there's enough noise around a certain sentiment or story, it doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. The loudest noise becomes fact. You know what I mean?
I do, and you know, I think it's quite scary, but when
of course, terrifying. It is. It's like you have to kind of let it go. I think that's where I'm at with it.
That's what I was sort of trying to understand, right? Like, if fact checking is dead in, social media, in the New York Times and wherever else, right? What is our response to that?
I don't know, because it's like I never want to fight it, because I never want to add to the noise.
Right.
Sometimes it makes me not want to do press.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me want to explain press more to people who don't necessarily know, that you do an interview and a photo shoot like 3 months before it comes out or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about it? I kind of just have to let it go, like wash.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's sort of out of my control. And I think to try and control it would take so much energy and stress, and actually make my life really unhappy.
Yeah, because not only does that in and of itself take so much energy, but like the act of trying to correct somebody's misperception, it's like, okay, so if you do that, what do you win?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
So lately I've been thinking that the real work, like the real kind of spiritual ascension, is to try to really let go of misperceptions.
Yeah.
And that there's a kind of power in that. Like, if you can really do that, and it's really hard, and I can't do it all the time. But when I'm able to say, like, I'm not responsible for this misperception.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with me, and I'm going to let them have their misperception. Even if they can walk around thinking, something horrible about me. But I sort of take my power back if I let that misperception just live.
I totally agree with you. I think there is a power in that, and a kind of healing in that. And I think, George just always says to me, it's really just the people in your life that matter.
That's right.
The people that you spend your Sundays with and do, go for dinner with, and your best friends that you like grow, and your family that you grow with. It's like people that matter.
I like the sound of this George. When you talk about him in music and whatever, he sounds like a great guy.
He's very wise. He's very wise, and he's really, I'm so lucky because he really can calm me. He really...
He knows you very well.
He knows me. He knows himself. He's really balanced. He's in therapy. It's
I
really...
love George.
Yeah, Team George.
George's
Team George.
goals. Does it feel different being married?
It's like...
I thought it felt really different all of a
Did
sudden.
you?
Yeah.
And did that last?
Yes.
Wow,
and
interesting.
It still builds upon itself.
I definitely feel like when we got married, there was this sort of like, it was almost like we just started dating again. There was that kind of like, and like saying like husband and wife. It was like really kind of like fun, and like still saying that. I'm like, oh, my husband, whatever. Yeah. But I think there's also like definitely a thing where we're like, oh, it's the same, But we like that. Like I think I've always had a very kind of, it's like marriage has never been like this sort of beacon of, like, it's never been like this goal that I wanted to get to. My parents got married when I was 16. So it's like I didn't like grow up with this sort of
institution.
So I've always been pretty chill about marriage, and so is George. So that was very kind of handy. We sort of have the same approach to it, where we were like, we want to do this because we love each other and we want to be together forever, but we're also not going to kind of put this weight on it that it has to be this like life-changing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of our vibe with it.
And what's interesting is, and I wonder if you'll notice this over time, but when I speak to people who are married happily and sort of injecting their marriage all the time with the right stuff, it starts to feel like the marriage is its own protective thing around the two people, which is really nice.
Yeah, I definitely am feeling that. I mean, whenever I just need to be kind of like, I'll just like go home with George and we'll just like sit, and it just feels, not to be cheesy, but very safe and very,
It's not cheesy.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
it's
lovely.
kind of beautiful.
I want to know her thoughts on this new female rage wave of pop and her thoughts on how this stripped-backed, ultra-honest, raw rage is going to shift the industry and maybe go even further, like the impact on this broader messaging that is being communicated to young women and how that narrative is shifting.
Wow, what a question. I think it's interesting because the language of songwriting and the language of women is just, it's so much more open, it's so much more free. And I think there's so much more of a conversation around, just be whoever the fuck you want to be.
Yes.
And I think that is really cool. And I think that artists exist on a really quite huge scale and communicate their different experiences of being a woman,
They're calling it rage, female rage in pop music, which is so interesting because for me, rage music when I was your age was like whole. It was or like it was like female punk rock.
Sure.
So I love that it sort of evolved into coming through in a more subtle way.
Yeah.
But I do think I was talking about this with my therapist the other day, how he said something so interesting to me about rage being how we declare ourselves as people. Like that, the energy of rage. And that love doesn't do that. Love connects us sort of to the oneness of us, but rage declares your individuality.
Wow.
Rage declares you as you.
That's a great statement.
I thought so too. And I was really thinking about that when I was spending a lot of time with your last album, because obviously when it came out, I work out to it and stuff like that, but I don't, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And you've never done a song exploder, which you should do.
Which one is that?
It's this podcast where this guy sits down with you and takes one of your songs.
And then you dissect it all.
It's so good.
Right. Yeah,
I was really hoping that you had done one, but you hadn't. It was okay.
Okay.
But this, what I really connected to this time when I was doing my own song exploder version was that through line of self-declaration. And a lot of that rage, or how I perceive it, which gets me fired up, is through the drum beats and through the discordancy and through the mess and the combination of all this stuff. I just felt like this is such a declaration of self. So I wonder if that's what they're
I think that
responding
that could
to.
Be, that could be it. I think you're right. It is. I love that sentence that your therapist said. I think that's really true, because when I am feeling rageful, angry, whatever it is, and maybe this is something I need to work on, I don't stop to think about it. It just, whatever is within me comes out. It's the most instinctual version of what I'm thinking and feeling. And in ways, maybe a huge element of my essence, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whereas, as you said, with love or kindness or happiness, it's you're kind of a bit more sort of present and thinking and not just acting from the subconscious, kind of being So I don't know. Maybe rage is the truest expression of self.
That's what I found so interesting about it, is this idea that, of course, we want to live in love a lot of the time, where we're connected to this greater collective and spirit, but there's something depersonalizing about that in a way, right?
Yeah.
And that rage, actually, that if that does bring true declaration of self, then we should be leaning into rage. I mean, he says to me all the time, I want you to get so fucking angry about this. Connect to that rage in you. And he thinks there's also an incredible amount of wisdom in the rage.
Yeah. Well, it sort of goes back to what we were talking about earlier of, I think, there is still this sort of expectation of the way women should be, and yes. Angry is not one of them, and actually it's it should be one.
100%.
It should be one.
I agree.
You should be able to feel on that level, and no one give a fuck about it because it's just human.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So because, we do talk about wellness a bit here at goop.com. Is that something that you kind of contemplate, like your own well-being, whether it's therapy, whether it's exercise?
Yeah. I definitely fall on and off of
Yep.
those things for sure. Therapy is kind of my one I try and really keep constant. And exercise, to be honest, the past few months really has not been a part of my life, but before it was. But I find sometimes when I'm traveling all the time, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't do it. But I need to get back in.
No pressure, no self-flagellation.
No, I know, but it makes me feel good in my brain actually.
Yeah.
When I'm doing it, I love running. It really it makes me feel a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
So I do need to get back into it. But I've just been kind of on planes all the time.
And how do you reconcile a sort of idea of your well-being with also, this is what I also love, the dichotomy, is being up until 4 and partying at a house party. And why am I never invited to these famous house
You're
parties?
always invited.
I feel very
open invite.
I mean, I go to bed at 9, but what time do they start?
When you're in your
Damn it.
deep cycle
Right,
of sleep.
deep REM sleep. Well, maybe one night I'll have to,
pop up.
I know. If you do it in England, I can be jet lagged and still
There you go.
there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know what I think with wellness, actually, it's I feel like there's a lot of pressure around wellness to sort of subscribe to a certain type of lifestyle and do things in a certain way. And sometimes I can really feel the pressure of that.
It's gone crazy.
Yeah. And I actually just think for me, it's if I want to live the longest, I just have to be happy.
Yeah.
And I have to be free.
Right.
And I have to not feel the pressure of living my life in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so right now, for me, there is a lot of partying involved. Will it be like that forever? Probably not. But it could be. I don't know. But right now, it's that's where I got a lot of my source of inspiration. When I go out and I meet people and I'm in it with someone and I'm, I get lost in this fantasy world. And for me, it's such a huge source of, inspiration for my writing that if I cut that off, it would be like cutting off a limb.
No, of course.
And I would be so sad. I would be so unhappy if I wasn't able to kind of absorb all of these different people and feelings and moments. So
enjoy that.
I gotta live in it a bit longer.
And you have to mind that for as long as it's giving you life and inspiration. And I brought something which will help your wellness.
Oh, amazing. I will say at the same time, as partying, I do love a massage. So,
This is from my tree.
Wow.
It's an organic apple that I picked for you this morning.
Can I eat it?
Yes, you can.
Oh, my gosh.
Right off the tree.
This is delicious.
Isn't it good?
It's really good.
So there you go.
Thank you.
There's your wellness thing for the day.
Apple a day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on the Goop podcast.
Thank you for
You are
having
such an
me.
inspiration. I've totally fallen in love with you through all of this, really trying to understand who you are and how you approach things. And I really admire you a lot.
Thank you so much.
I do.
So kind.
It's amazing to see a young woman like you doing, creating on your own terms in this way. And it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.